Yeah, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. The UFC is back at the world's most famous Apex. UFC Vegas 111 going down because we just couldn't get enough of the Apex after last week and all the craziness that happened there and the fight of the year contenders and maybe a fight fixing allegation or two. I mean, it's just perfect time to go back to the Apex. We have a welterweight main event between Gabriel Bonfim and Randy Brown. This is, while I continue to say this and I stand by it, I think if you're a fan of just fisticuffs in general and you just want to watch people fight each other and that's like all you care about, I don't think this is going to be a bad watch. But if you want like long-term stakes and things of that nature, you're not getting that here. You're just not. You probably got about the same amount last week. But I do think all in all, this will be like a fun watch if you just have the expectations as low as possible. And that's fine. But look, let's be completely honest. We are looking ahead to next Saturday. That is what this is all about. To me, this is the last stop on the road to UFC 322. This card being over means it's UFC 322 fight week, means we're that much closer to probably the most anticipated fight on the books in 2025. So it's the last stop. It's the go-home show, and fists will fly. So thank you so much for joining us for the People's Pre-Fight Show. Let's get to the questions because that's what this is all about. Let's go to the chat. Let's see. Scott, primed and ready for fight shenanigans and general hijinks. And then in parentheses, my Vols are out of the playoff hunt, so nothing else really matters to me except fights. There you go. Con and Zena, when Josh Hokett gets KO'd in the first round, will everyone say it's fixed? No, I certainly hope not. I don't think we have to worry about that being a result that actually happens, because I think Josh is just going to tackle and punch until the fight is over, and I think it will be over within the first 7 minutes. So, and if Josh loses, like, what's he, 6-0? He's, like, fine. But, like, we don't look at Josh like we look at Gable Steveson, where it's like, yeah, that dude is definitely got to be the champion. We don't look at Josh like that. Jake, I don't know if I've recovered from last week's Apex card yet. I don't know if we ever recover from any Apex card. Joseph, Mike, looking ahead to UFC 322 in the watch party, which challenger to the belts has more to lose, Islam or Zhang? Oh, Islam by a billion miles. Without a doubt, it's Islam Mokaev. Zhang losing would be tough, but Zhang has wanted this fight for a while. Like, she literally has nothing left at 115. Literally nothing. Sure, could she fight Mackenzie Dern? Yeah, she would rinse Mackenzie Dern. She would have rinsed Vera Jandiroba too. There's nothing else for her to do at 115. So if she loses, like, she could call it if she loses to Valentina next week, like, she can call it a career. Or if she wants to move back down, like, she's literally just getting a title shot. Islam Makhachev is not really in the same position. Like, if he goes out and loses bad to JDM, like, if he goes to 55, it's not like they're going to be like, oh, well, Paddy Pimblett, or I assume the UFC wants Ilya Paddy. They're not going to be like, oh, Paddy, yeah, you're going to have to sit and wait. They're going right to that fight, and Islam's probably going to have to win a fight at 55 before he fights for the belt. Plus, not to mention the Khabib comparisons and the pound-for-pound discussions and all of that. I don't even think it's remotely close that it's Islam Makhachev. Answered that yesterday. I'll go with this one. We talked about that yesterday as well. Let's talk about this. Is this card that I think is great on paper? Great. Wow. Being overshadowed by the gambling scandal of UFC Fight Night 263 last week? Absolutely not. Yeah, is there like a bit of a cloud hanging over this? Sure. But again, like I said earlier, this card is being overshadowed by the fact that no one cares. and that it's UFC 322 right around the corner. That's what it's being overshadowed by. It's like, oh, God, I just want to get to the destination. I don't want to stop anywhere else. And unfortunately, we have to stop for this card. Well, again, I do think it's going to be like a decent watch. That's pretty much what it is. Apex needs to flash applause signs to the audience. Sure. They also need to bring in more people. Like, I thought they were expanding the Apex. I thought they were putting like 2,000 seats in there or something. That would do it. The UEGA Bulldogs have won so much, I now hate them. Like I did the Gators in the 2000s and Bama of 2010, 2020. Go Vols. Should have made that kick against Georgia. Yep. Ben, my question is, what am I doing with my life watching this card today? Listen, if you literally have anything else going on, like if I didn't have to work today, I would not be watching this card. I'm just telling to you straight. I would be literally out of this house, like wandering the areas, finding literally anything else to do. I would watch it maybe tomorrow morning or something, but I would not be watching this one live. But I'm working, so I will, and I will give it my all watching it, but you best believe I would be doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Enjoying the fall weather, the rolling landscapes here in New England. So, yeah, we are the most hardcore of hardcore fans. John, I can't tell the difference between the Apex and FSG. You remember that? Who is it? Who made that case? Was it? Who the heck was it? Was it Mark Shapiro who said that? Look, there's no difference between the Apex and a pay-per-view card. It's all the same on television. I still think that might be, outside of Dana White saying Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight of all time yesterday, that quote from Mark Shapiro might be the hottest take that has been said in 2025 by anybody. Absolutely anybody. Joseph, we should be happy after today. We only get to go to the Apex one more time this year. Yeah, but then we're going to be right back in it in 2026. Like, I'm happy because we're out of it for the next 3 weeks, or actually 5 weeks. But we are going back, and that's how we're ending the year. We're not ending the year at the pay-per-view with 2 title fights. We're not ending the year with Murad Dvalishvili looking to defend his title for the 5th time in 2025. We're ending the year with... It's not Royval versus Tyra, by the way. Royval versus Manel Kape. Tyra's fighting Brandon Moreno. We already saw Royval Tyra. But yes, Brandon Royval's expected to fight Manel Kape. That fight ain't happening. They're the new Habib Todi. We're gonna try to book that fight 8,000 times. It's for some reason or another. It's not happening. Why am I streaming from heaven? If you want to call Massachusetts 7, yes. There's a little bit of light coming from that shade back there. It's like blinding. So yeah, it looks more heavenly when I tilt it and throw a little extra blur on there. Josh Hogan is undoing all the goodwill for Josh's that Josh Van has provided us. I hope he loses. I don't think he's going to lose. I think the UFC is going to push him hard. Bonfim will decimate Brown like he did Wonder Boy. That's a troll job. He lost to Wonder Boy, but... Red Sox World Series or Parker Porter UFC belt. I mean, both are great. I have witnessed the former a few times, but I will go Red Sox World Series every time. Tonight, the beginning of the end for the Bonfim brothers. I do think they're both gonna lose. I do think they're both gonna lose. But I mean, has there been like a true beginning of the beginning for the Bonfim brothers? Like, have we at any point looked at them and said, you know what? These guys are gonna be headlining pay-per-views. These guys are gonna be fighting for the belt. No, we've never said that. So I don't think there's really been a beginning. I mean, they're two good, solid hands, but I think they both lose tonight. Interesting, intriguing fight between Hyder Emil and Jamal Emmers. Could be a barn burner of a fight. I think that's one of the best fights on the card with two guys nobody knows. I mean, we know them, but yeah, I think it'll be a fun one. It should be on the main card. It's not. Over under 1.5 fights on rigged fights tonight. I mean, I'll say under because one will never be able to prove it. We still won't be able to prove last week's was fixed. We could certainly speculate, but I mean, I don't even know how you would really track that. But even if that was like a plan, it's going under because you would have to be an absolute moron to try to allegedly fix a fight this week after everything that went on last week. Like, that would be one of the dumbest things on earth. Michael, Henry and Kamaru are just a fight away from being retired, and Kamaru did kind of impress me against Buckley till I realized Buck had his high school buddy as his coach. Look, I am not here to tell you that Kamaru Usman was not great, but to say with a straight face that Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight of all time, while George St. Pierre in his resume still exists, and you can make a strong case that Usman isn't even the second best welterweight in the world. Like, you could make a true case that Matt Hughes is the second best welterweight of all time. To say Kamaru Usman is the greatest is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it is truly the most... There's just no way you could justify this. Like, Kamaru Usman... Mo Usman wouldn't even say Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight of all time. Like, just look at this. Look at this. Let's take a look at the resumes. Hyder Hassan, his UFC debut after winning TUF. Leon Edwards, sure. Alexander Yakovlev, Warley Alves, Sean Strickland, this is welterweight Sean Strickland, Sergio Moraes, Emil Mech, Damian Maia, like the ghost of Damian Maia, the ghost of Rafael Dos Anjos. Yes, he thumped up Tyron Woodley. Like, that was an incredible performance. Shit, you can put... I mean, that's why I can't put Woodley above Usman, because Usman just steamrolled him. Like, this wasn't the most thrilling fight, but it was Chimaev DDP-ish, where it was just completely one-sided, and there was no offense from the other side. Then he knocks out Colby, good win. Then he beats Masvidal in a tepid decision on short notice. Gilbert Burns, good, decent win. Then it's Masvidal again in a fight nobody asked for. Colby again in a fight nobody asked for. And then he loses to Leon, loses to Chimaev, and beats Joaquin Buckley. And the Buckley win is fine, but again, Buckley got to the point he was at by basically doing what Usman did to get to the top. He was just beating all the old dudes with names that people recognized. And by the way, through that, Kamaru Usman had... Let's go through this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 title defenses. 5 title defenses. George St. Pierre. Kara Parisian. Jay Haran loses to Matt Hughes in a really competitive fight. Did get submitted. Beats Jason Miller. Stops Frank Trigg. Stops Sean Sirk. Beats BJ Penn. Knocks out Matt Hughes to win the welterweight title. Which is... The Matt Hughes win is better than any win Kamaru Usman's ever had. And it's not a disrespectful thing. It's literally the truth. That alone is a better win than Usman's ever had. Yes, he loses to Matt Serra. Then he goes and just rinses Josh Koscheck, finishes Hughes again, finishes Serra, beats John Fitch, stops BJ Penn again, beats Thiago Alves, beats Dan Hardy, beats Josh Koscheck, beats Jake Shields, beats Carlos Condit, beats Nick Diaz, beats Johnny Hendricks. That's 10 title defenses, by the way. 10. And then wins the second belt against Michael Bisping. This is not even a conversation. This is one of the silliest conversations ever. I still cannot believe Data said that. Because it's one of the worst takes I've ever seen. Will any big upset for the next few be seen as possible fight fixing? No. Combat culture here. Never show. Took down my post. Sorry for the negativity. I told you such a high stereo, but I shouldn't have done it that way. Much love and respect. Yeah, I'm not even really going to get into that. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, all good. Mike, what is the most underrated fight on this Apex card? I mean, they're all underrated. I'm gonna say I'm going with McVeigh and Reese. Like, I think that's gonna be super fun. No one's gonna care. It's the first fight of the card. Two guys who will not be top 15 fighters, but two big, huge middleweights, or I guess 195ers, just kind of fighting each other a whole bunch. Like, I think that fight probably doesn't get out of the first round. Certainly won't get out of the second. Yeah, that'll be fun. And no one's talking about that one. DC last week, I missed the Apex. Did you really say that? Thoughts on the Bonfim Padilla line movement? Think it's just an overreaction to the weight miss or another possible injury. Yeah, I did notice that. We'll see. I mean, hopefully for Bonfim's sake, this fight is at least competitive. Like, if Bonfim gets just dusted by Chris Padilla in 2 minutes, it is not competitive. There's no way that the social media world is just not going to be all over that. Has Giannis been rebooked yet? He's one of the fights I was actually looking forward to. Not that I know of. Any updates about February Sydney card? Any rumors at all? No. I assume Volkanovski will fight on that card. Hopefully it's against Movzar. Super chat. Any news on Shafkat and who does he fight when he comes back? Great question. No news. And yeah. He should fight Usman. Like, that's the fight. But like I said, if Islam Makhachev wins next week, then it's going to be him and Usman, and it's going to make me so upset that Usman's going to jump over everybody else that's been putting in the hard work. Naming guys that GSP beat makes it sound like Usman does have a better record. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Almost every win GSP has outside of... And we're talking about at the time. I mean, Dan Hardy... Maybe Koscheck. Like, the first Koscheck fight, sure. But, like, every other win is better than pretty much every win Usman has. Loses to Hendricks. That was, yeah. That was a weirdo fight. Look up the records of the guys GSP beat. He did at the same time. That's just not true. Not the first time he beat Hughes. Hughes was like the best fighter in the world at the time. Garrett's got to get some golf in after work. There you go, man. Enjoy it. Honestly, Usman being number one welterweight shouldn't be a discussion. Yeah, he's not. You cannot, not with 5 title defenses. That's half of what GSP did. Like, that alone takes him out of the discussion. When will UFC patch the eye, poke, nut kick, fence grab, ETA? Never. They should, but they won't. Condit was the only man to almost KO GSP because Condit is the man. And I remember we did Damn They Were Good on Carlos Condit. And it was just like such a bummer that Carlos Condit never won the undisputed title. Obviously won the interim belt, but it was a bummer that all that guy did, the incredible fights Carlos Condit had in his career, that he never was the undisputed title holder, and he probably should have been after, not after GSP, but the Robbie Lawler fight, which is at worst the 3rd greatest fight in the history of MMA. It's one of the true bummers that Condit is not known as a UFC champion. D. Ransfield, no. I appreciate that, but no. Islam versus Hamzat. No, that's never going to happen. God, I hope not. Any updates on Aspinall's eyesight condition? No. I would say we'll probably see Aspinall gone in March. Run it back. And as AK and I said on to the next one after 321, don't even do it on a pay-per-view. I mean, obviously, like, they're all going to be in Paramount Plus, but give it to London. Like, go give it to... I assume they'll be in London in March like they always are. And since we're not trying to sell pay-per-views anymore, just give London... I mean, the UFC has screwed London the past couple of years. They have given him poo-poo cards. So, give him Aspinall gone. Give him a title fight. Give it to him. Then you can at least justify selling those tickets at the prices they were trying to sell them at over there. Give them the title fight. What else we got? Over under on free fouls tonight? Free fouls. I'm going to set the line at... So we're talking fence grabs, eye pokes, or strikes to the ding ding. Glove grabs. I'm going to set it at 5.5. 5.5 on free fouls. I think that's, you know what? I'm going to say 6.5. There's a lot of like green fighters on this card. So what do you guys think? Over under 6.5. Mike, did you hear anything about the meeting they were supposed to have about eye pokes? What happened with that? I think it's next week. But yeah, something needs to be done. What do you guys think of Randy Brown's take about eye pokes? Thought that was kind of interesting. He thinks that point deductions should happen for fence grabs before eye pokes. He thinks all fence grabs should be automatic point deductions. I think every penalty should have some form of repercussion. I don't think you have to take a point every single time, but there should be something for everything. Mike, to see the new head of the PFL with Ariel, hoping he has a favorite fight in mind when he joined you. Yeah, I didn't watch it. He did speak to, John Meyer did speak to Damon Martin weeks before he talked to Ariel, so that's the one I watched, and it was a good interview. And yeah, something tells me John has a favorite fight. John's been training. He's been into the game for a while. John is an MMA fan as well. So. Oh, it's Tuesday? No, they've said nothing, which means that's probably not good. Plus, there's, other things going on in the news cycle where this would have just been swept under the rug and no one would have cared. So perhaps wait till next week when the dust of the fight fixing allegations settle, and then maybe we could start talking about it. Condit is the Dustin Poirier of his era. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty good comparison. Yeah, I like that. I mean, more so Dustin Poirier is the Carlos Condit of his era. Usman's 3 losses were all by pretty tiny margins. Dude, he got tiny margins. He was on the receiving end of maybe the most memorable knockout in UFC history. And he was dead. He was colded by Leon Edwards. That's not a tiny margin. That is, you were smashed. So, yeah. And then he lost the rematch, and it wasn't a tiny margin. It was a clear-cut decision win for Leon in the rematch. And yeah, he fought Hamzat and lost, but he lost. It's still a loss. And he beat, maybe the 9th best welterweight in a fine fight, but not one anybody's going to go back and rewatch. And to say that Kamaru Usman should jump over Brady and Morales, did Muhammad Mokaev do enough to get called back to the big show? He finished Burns, and I'm not sure how good that dude was. It's an okay win, but the UFC doesn't. I maintain this take, and I'll stand by it. AK thinks I'm crazy. Others have reached out to me and said I'm crazy as well. Muhammad Mokaev is never going to fight in the UFC again, and it's not because he doesn't have the talent to. It's because the UFC, when you cross the boss and you piss off Dana White, there's no coming back from that. Unless you're a big star. And Mokaev is not a big star. He's a good fighter in a division that the UFC barely tries to promote. And if they don't need Conor McGregor or John Jones, they certainly don't need Muhammad Mokaev. So I think that ship has sailed. I think whether he meant to or not, Mokaev burnt that bridge all the way. And I don't think he ever fights in the UFC again. I don't think there's anybody he can beat to get him back in there. I mean, go to Dirty Boxing and beat Gable Steveson. Maybe that gets you in. But yeah. I don't think they're going to bring him back. Daniel, any advice for becoming a media member? For example, interviewing fighters, going to press conferences, etc. How could I start, and what are the barriers to entry? Just find a lane and do it. I mean, just do it. Figure out what you want to do and then do that. Interviews, just interview everybody. Like, I came up interviewing everybody. That was like a piece of advice that I got. You're not going to get UFC names that often early on. Like, there are certain fighters who will talk to you, but you kind of get on people's radars by interviewing everybody. So find some regional shows, you know, get boots on the ground at those and start doing some interviews in person at some of those regional shows. And, you know, eventually you'll hit the radars of some PR people of bigger organizations. And at that point, it comes down to delivering on your word. So if you say, I'll interview anybody you need me to, and they give you a time and a date, is if you're there 99% of the time, then you're good. So yeah, it's not anything that'll happen overnight. It's a grind. And luckily, this is a whole different space than it was when I was figuring all this out and having the same questions you had. Social media is an absolute monster. If I was coming up right now as a 22-year-old or like a 25-year-old, I would do things a lot differently. That's for sure. Is the MVP fight news real? What MVP fight news? I'll take a couple more. Any favorite watch party moments you should go back and watch? I mean, UFC 300's the best. There's nothing will ever top GC and I's reaction to Max Holloway knocking out Justin Gaethje UFC 300. That's the greatest. That is the greatest reaction on the internet reacting to a fight in the history of MMA, in my opinion. Is that moment at UFC 300. That watch party. Is Dana praising Usman to set up Islam's first title defense? Yep. 100%. How do you know who to reach out to in order to start interviewing fighters? Just find an organization I would just go to an event near your house. Like if you're in a state, I don't know where you live. I'm sure it's in a state that has MMA, and they probably have regional shows. Just reach out to them on social media and say, hey, I'm an aspiring media member. I would like to cover your event, interview your fighters. And I'd be absolutely stunned if anyone told you no. And then just go there and do your thing. And like I said, it's like a different world, but I also, like back when I was really getting into this and made the choice that I was going to just do MMA and interview the fighters and do all that stuff, I reached out to, I would send like anywhere from 10 to 30 messages on social media every day to a fighter or a manager or an organization. And if I could get like one yes or a couple of yeses or at least like some sort of response, that was a win. So that's not a bad way to do it too. Mike, didn't you used to do podcasts with Loudmouth MMA with Kyle Steele? Whatever happened to that podcast completely disappeared off the internet. Yeah, I think Kyle just think he got into real estate, if memory serves me correctly. But this was at the moment, I think this is right around the time that I was doing the freelance stuff. This is around the time where I was like, all right, I'm going all in on the MMA stuff. Like, I'm giving it this run for a year to see if I can get picked up full time. Because I had a job at the time that I absolutely hated and just decided to go for it. And yeah, shout out to Loudmouth and Kyle, who they brought me in. And basically, that's what BTL is now, was working with them. A little bit of a different format there, but, Between the Links has had many different iterations since I brought it along. It started with a just sort of 4 dudes talking kind of thing. Then it turned into the Around the Hornish type of show that, we'd have 3 or 4 people. We'd start eliminating folks. It was a show that it was a show that I brought people on, and then they basically, other websites essentially tried to rip it off. If you put 2 and 2 together, I think you can figure out who tried to do that. And sort of BTL became like a different thing once it came over here. But yeah, Loudmouth was great. I think I did like hosted 2 or 3 shows for them. What else we got? I guess the card's starting. Cecil Peoples remembers the original Between the Links. Yeah, it was a good time. That was a good time. All right, looks like we got some fights. McVeigh walking out. McVeigh is walking out. All right, let me look at the card. Give a couple picks before I get out of here. Bonus predictions. Let me pull up my picks here. Bonus predictions. Josh Hokett. Joseph Morales. Salikov. Tulio. There you go. All performance bonuses, no fight of the night. And then we'll go to the main card picks real quick. We will start with Marco Tulio, the minus 168 favorite, taking on Christian Leroy Dunko, who comes back at plus 142. If CLD wins, it is going to be an awful fight. Like, it will be a terrible watch. But I don't think we have to worry about that. I'm going Marco Tulio. KO round number 1. Let's go to the catchweight division. Gabriel Bonfim, the minus 116 favorite. There's about an 80-point swing there. Chris Padilla, also minus money, minus 102. I'm going Chris Padilla by decision now after everything. We'll see what happens. I'm always on the wrong side of these things, so I decided to go against the gut because this is a weirdo situation. The weight miss, Bonfim looked horrific on the scale, and that enough for me was enough to sway this into a different direction. So we got Uros Medic, the minus 134 favorite, taking on Muslim Salikov, plus 114. Muslim Salikov, KO. Round 2. The rise of the King of Kung Fu continues. Co-main event, or the penultimate fight, depends on who you ask. Joseph Morales, the Ultimate Fighter, the minus 450 favorite, taking on Matt Schnell, who comes back at plus 350. From a betting perspective, there is like a little part of me that wants to take a Schnell shot here, but I think Morales wins pretty easily. Submission round 2. And then we go to the main event. We have Gabriel Bonfim, the minus 172 favorite, to come back on Randy Brown plus 144. I'm changing my pick from the preview show. Yesterday I said I'm picking Randy Brown. Picked him by decision. I'm also still picking Randy Brown, but I've decided I'm going to finish. Getting third round TKO for Randy Rude Boy Brown. Chase, shout out before we get out of here. Going to my first live event next week. Is the live experience worth the price of admission? I will be watching the watch party. What? MSG still. What a hero. Is it worth the price tag? No, I don't think so. I mean, it depends. Like it is your first one, so I mean, you picked a damn good one to go to. So I will say, like, you will be happy with the pick. But I think you'll notice, unless you have specific seats at UFC events, like you're not there to like watch fights. You're there for like the ambiance of it. You're there for like to see if you're a part of something big. Because most of the time, unless you like literally have seats that are like perfectly right over the octagon, you're watching the fights on the big screen. That's where you're watching them. And to me, it's like, oh, I'd rather watch them on the big screen at home. Like, even when I go cover events, like, I don't want to even go to the fights. I would rather just go do the fight week stuff and then like go to the watch parties. Like, that's what I would rather do. But yeah, I think everyone should go once. I think it's worth it. Do you need to go again after that? No. Just kind of overkill at that point. But yeah, I think you picked a good one. You picked the best card of the year. And it's at a venue where everyone seems to step up their game. It's the best MSG card in years. And it's got the best fight it's got the most anticipated fight of 2025 on it. So pretty damn good all around. So I think like I said, I think you picked a damn good one. So, all right, everybody, let's enjoy the fisticuffs. It is what it is. Let's make the most of another event at the world's most famous Apex. And just think, when it's over and done with, we are on the road to UFC 322. The next time an octagon door will close, it will be at Madison Square Garden for UFC 322. So, all the fun next week, media day and press conferences, weigh-in shows. We'll have the watch party next Saturday as well. Back in South Carolina. All the fun, all the good stuff. From heaven, or as people like to say, Massachusetts. We're done. Back on the post show. It'll be myself and Jed Mishu reacting to it all. And you guys are all the best. So thank you all so much. Enjoy it. And we'll see you after the fights.